Hello all, it's Shifty here, and today we're going to be streaming and we're going to be working on our large grid luxury ship for this month's build event. Now I have worked on it quite a bit since last time I streamed, so I'll take a little bit of a tour of the areas I got done. First off, I started actually filling in some of these rooms with interiors. You can see I got these ones done. The big pink numbers on the side are not going to stay. It's just how many people can stay in each of the rooms, how many beds I have for each of the rooms. So I'm going to keep putting those on the outsides of the rooms, and then we can count it all up when I'm done and see what the maximum capacity is for our guests. Now, I don't think each room would be filled to the max, but I think because it's a spaceship, it would be nice to have rooms that have the option to have a lot of people if people want to use them, right? And they're all pretty crammed in here. So we got a bunch of beds and then, a lounge area. Turn my lights off. See, we got a little TV here. Every single one of these rooms is a little bit different too. So you've got a lot of like custom choices in your rooms. And these two rooms happen to be attached, adjoined rooms. I thought that would be kind of a neat touch. I know hotels and different things like that have that option. Those are the two rooms that have 5 beds in them each. Thought that was kind of a neat idea. All the rooms do have their own bathrooms, and the rooms on the front portion of the ship here, I am putting kitchens in them because, again, you might want to make your own food. Get some local sabroid meat and cook something up, have it on the grill. Yeah, I got done with all the rooms on the left side here, and we're slowly working on getting the rest of them done. I'm probably going to do a lot of that detail work off stream, just because it is super tedious and very slow to do. If you want to see me do things like that, I guess I could, but I'm going to try and do most of like the big idea stuff for the ship while I'm on stream. Like, this is where we're going to put rooms. We need to figure out where we're going to put all these other different things. You can see I actually finished off the rooms down here on this side as well. It's kind of weird. I've been jumping around, moving on different areas just to keep it fresh, because this is a large project and it's taking a lot of time to do. But yeah, so I started with these rooms. I went over to the other side of the ship, worked on those rooms, and I haven't done those or the rooms like this on the opposite side. Let's jump in here and look at these real quick. These are rooms without kitchens. Again, they all do still have bathrooms. All the bathrooms are pretty much the same for these types of rooms. But you got some beds up there, and then you've got 3 more beds down here. And then we'll look at one of the 7-person rooms. I have a slightly different top area. See, all the beds are lined up along here. You can still get some light, but it's not going to be shining in your eyes while you sleep. The bottom portions are the same. It's just the top portions are a little bit different. And then that room's the same. We've also been working on doing some air management for this vehicle. Now this is the area, the lounge by the hangar. I've been slowly adding details here and there. We're going to make banners for all these, so it looks like little things hanging. I think that'll look really nice. But I've been chunking up the ship a lot more. There was a lot more just open. The air goes all the way down that tunnel and then just into this room. To make the air tightness actually work, you need to break it up more. Otherwise, the areas are just going to be too complex, and Space Engineers is not going to be able to figure out the air tightness. That's part of the reasons. But also, in a spaceship, if you lose your pressure in an area, you want to be able to shut the doors and not lose pressure to like your whole ship. Or like, if this lounge loses pressure, you don't want to lose pressure to the hallway where everyone is down there too. So I'm trying to break up the airtight areas a little bit more with doors at the ends of hallways and whatnot. I've done a lot of interior decoration work since last time I was streaming. Yeah, you can see I added doors on this side of the hallway, which were not there before. We've got fish tanks everywhere now, lots of these. And I'm going to really try hard to use, instead of conveyors and air vents in every room, I want to make like a central heating, I guess, like central air room. And then I have ducts going to all the different rooms, and I can run those ducts all the way to that central air room. And that's how we can get our air to all the different regions of the ship. Let's see, I have air that just goes everywhere. And they're all separated so far. That's what these things down below us are. That's the air for these rooms. See it tucked in everywhere. These are the crew quarters. I did finish up. This is the crew area, basically. So this is public. This will be a employees only door. And then back here, all the rooms on the right are bunk rooms for crew. See, they're very simple. They're basically just tons of beds. I put this one with a window, but this person can't close theirs, which I would think you would want to. Yeah, they're honestly, the bunk rooms for the crew are kind of nice too. You have plants and different things, but they are compact, and each one's a little bit different just because of the way everything fit together. But quite a few crew for each of these rooms. I do not have these counted, but this is just the bulk crew. Bulk crew quarters. Very simple. Outside that, they have their own little fish tank at the end of their hallway. And then they have their mess hall. And this is attached to the back of the kitchen. Have a little bit of their own kitchen area. And then this is the main kitchen on the ship, which will serve the bar and the little restaurant area out there. And also bring food back to the crew separately. And there is a little room here in between. This was going to be like the employees' lounge kind of thing. But then I realized I really need like a mess hall for the crew. So they've got this big area too. I mean, they can use this. And maybe certain people use this. Maybe this is where the more important people eat. But there's going to be a lot of traffic walking through here too. So it's not that private of an area. Yep, I already showed that last time. That is the bathrooms. The crew also has their own bathrooms now. This went in underneath the pool. This is the pool right here. That's why it's blue. So the crew bathrooms right here. The sink. And this has to be blue. So it's like the one blue toilet. There's a couple toilets and then a bunch of showers back here. There probably should be more toilets than showers. There's only 3 toilets here. But yeah, that's right. It's how it ended up working out. I might change that retroactively, but not super important. I think that's most of the stuff we did. I had to tweak this a little, but you wouldn't notice the difference anyway. Let's go look at the pool. I did have to change the floor in the pool ever so slightly to accommodate what I did before. We now have weldless armor across most of the pool floor so that you don't see a ton of blocks like that poking through. And then I did decide to put some little like vent blocks down there. And the same kind of issue here. This is right underneath the mess hall. Or I should say the mess hall is right underneath this. So there's lights underneath a couple of these blocks, and I decided to put in some stuff to cover it. Once we have the projected pool water in here, it should be kind of hard to see the bottom anyway, so I don't think that's going to make it look weird. Not too weird, at least. Let's see. I think I did this since last time. I had this little nook here. I made it like a little rest area where someone can like chill and take a nap if they want to. Or maybe these are like tanning beds by the pool. I don't know. Call it what you want. I did work on the captain's quarters. So this is the captain's quarters. Bar there. We've got a nice table to play cards at or do whatever. He's got his own fish tank. It's kind of blocked by his staircase, but that's okay. He's got the fish if he wants to look at them. Nice big lounge area. Once again, all the rooms are attached with ducts. that sneak in to, I'll show you the room that they're all going to right now in a little bit. Just hang out in here. This is the bedroom, captain's bedroom here. More ducts. Pretty simple. The bridge, I put some stuff in the interior of the bridge now. Got a whole bunch of control stations and control seat, flight seat. Give me the main flight seat right there. I think I'm going to redo the bottom of this with interior blocks so that this is all smooth, but that's going to happen at a later date when I get that all functional. And I think what I want to do today is, oh, look at this. Yeah, I worked on this staircase in this room a little bit. Kind of nice. Getting some signs posted in here and there. But I think what I want to work on today is trying to figure out some of the actual functional bits of the ship, such as thrusters and, yeah, power thrusters. I'm going to try and sneak a safe zone somewhere in here, and I think that's going to have to be placed pretty soon. It's going to go right in here. You can see this is the room that all the ducts from all the other rooms are going into. Yeah, I've been keeping all the ducts separate so I can put air into each room separately, or like all the different hallways and whatnot, but I might have to do some major management of that and just group some stuff together eventually. Like this is the hallway, one of the main hallways. And you can see over here, I found like an interesting little nook that I'm just going to put a room for like an engineer or something. This is just the backs and sides of blocks. If you look through here, this is the little lounge room. And this just happens, like this just worked out. The hallway's right behind there. And I can get a whole room in here, so you know, why not? Why not? I could just fill it with armor or leave it empty, but if I can turn it into something, I'm going to use the space. I think that's in line with what a ship would do. If you have space, you should use it for something. So, yeah. It is getting jam-packed with stuff. But I want to work out some of the thrusters and what the heck I'm doing with this back area just a little bit. I want to block out some major sections. We've got this hangar back here, which is a major part of the back of the ship. And something else I didn't think of that we really need to figure out is I have the crew quarters, which are right here, and those are all kind of isolated right now, whereas like you go through this door and you either have to go through that door to get into the crew area, or you have to go through this door to get into the crew area. Now I need the crew area to exit in more places. Like, I need it to be easier to access it, and I also need it to go down a level, and right now nowhere in there does it go down to like have a crew access point down here, which is a problem. I want the crew part of the ship to kind of go throughout the entire ship, especially down in this area where this is going to be all engineering, thrusters, stuff like that. Like this is like a super important part for crew to be able to access directly from their quarters. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. I don't have any clue how I'm gonna do that because the crew quarters are way up here right now. I need to get through this whole chunk of the ship, and I really don't want to change any of the work I've done because I'm happy with it. Like all of this, I'm happy with how all this is working. Now, maybe I could add the staircase in here-ish, but it's kind of a weird hallway. And I have a room here that I'd have to still somehow like let people walk around and get to. So I could add the staircase in right here. Maybe? What is below this, actually? Yeah, so it's kind of precarious because this hallway is, and this is the guest hallway, this is almost directly below the crew area. But I guess I could make it work. I would have to change these sloped walls to being flat walls for a little bit so that people could walk by it. But it's an option. The other idea would be to do it right here, but again, we have stuff on either side. On this side, we have a hallway for guests, and on this side, we have this staircase for the guests, so there's really not room to make a good access point for the crew on that side. So I almost think it's going to have to be here, which I don't like a ton, unless I cut out part of their mess hall and put the staircase in here. And I could put it in like right here-ish, because this is all just wide open to the floor below, anywhere underneath the mess hall. We'll see. I will put it in either there or maybe in that back corner, but not just yet. Another thing I need to think about is I have air going to all these rooms. I think I have air ducts. Yeah, so they're coming out the bottom right now. So those are all air ducts. Those are all air ducts. There's more. There's more down there. There's going to be a whole bunch over here. And then I haven't done anything about getting air into these rooms at all. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do about that. One of the options would be to run the air ducts through the floors, but then that means we're going to have to change the floors for all of those rooms into like away from armor blocks, which is going to make the parts where it's sloped. Like, I don't want to break up the floor because it's going to be ugly, honestly. That's what it comes down to. It's just not going to be pretty if I break up the floor a whole bunch. But I would have to put air into these rooms. I need to break the floor up or break the ceiling up. I think the ceiling is honestly a better option because I could do it right underneath this ridge. But then how do I get those air vents into that air room? I think what I'd have to do is make a new room for managing air and then pipe it in somehow. Somewhere. That could be doable. I could do an air control room right here. It would be tiny, but it doesn't have to be big. And also I would have to have air being shared throughout like all the rooms, which I don't particularly like. That's like the downside. If I use ducts, I have to run ducts from all the rooms all the way back to some central air. If I use conveyors, I have to run just a single line of conveyors and then have a few air vents, which honestly might be the way to go. Just run one tube along the top of the hallway and then somehow find ways to cram air vents in all these rooms retroactively after having designed them all and like finished them. Yeah, it would be kind of tricky. Like, I could add air vents in this region, kind of. That might be the way to do it. I have these top windows in all the rooms, and they're covered. What I could do is run pipe all the way down the middle, and then have an air vent in one of these top things for each of the rooms. And then I can use these barred things to kind of just cover up the fact that there's an air vent there. That would work. I'm going to go ahead and just do that. For these rooms, at least. And we'll figure out how the heck I'm going to get this, this conveyor attached to the bottom eventually, but we don't have to do it just yet. Let's see, what level do I want it at? I want it at this level. We're just going to run it like this. And we only really have to go to here. To there, I would say. And then for each of these rooms, I guess it doesn't really matter where the vent is. I kind of want to put it right over the door if I have that option. So the door is right here on this one. So I could put it right here. And I think that'd be a good solution. What kind of air vents should I use? I'm going to use the full-size one. I don't think I'm going to use the industrial one, not for these rooms. But we'll go like that, and then we'll just have our tube come in like that, and I don't know where I'm going to put the doors on those sides, so we'll just do the air vents for this side, and then we'll figure out how to make it perfect later. Right above, right above. Right, so I have to finish that at some point. Yeah, that works. That works for me. Yeah, we'll figure out the attachment points when I have these rooms completed. Now, this is a fairly long conveyor system, but we're not going to be able to get around that in this ship. We'll try and make it as streamlined as possible. Just to have as little lag from it as possible. But what can you do? It's not going to ever be perfect. It's just a very large build. So we have to deal with a little bit of strangeness. We'll flip those. I know it looks better the other way on the inside, but we're just going to make it kind of consistent. And then I'm going to cap these all with windows so that we know that they're all airtight. Now if we go into each of these rooms, we should be able to see that the room is in fact airtight. I will have to add H2O2 into here, just temporarily. Alright. Now as long as that has power, we're in creative mode, it should put air into these rooms. Also assuming that they have doors. This is what makes this whole process very tedious. Alright. This room should be airtight. You cannot see whether or not air is filling. And it does not appear to be airtight for whatever reason. even though it should be. Maybe I just don't have... Oh, it's not hooked up. Duh. Silly Shifty. There we go. Right. Yeah, and air immediately pressurizes this room. Excellent. Right, so that should work for all of them. No, I'm not going to check each one individually, but now we've at least got air figured out kind of up here. We need to figure out how to get that pipe. Honestly, probably connected to these pipes. These these are all in the hangar in there. So one thing I haven't done with this build while building it is dealing with conveyors and cargo. And that's something extremely difficult to work in after the fact. So we might struggle here and there with this. We also might just get lucky and have easy points to sneak through the building. I'm thinking this might be one of those locations right here. Ooh, nope, it goes over that. Might have to go between some rooms. Like here. Right. Where the heck would I go from here, though? I could go down through the wall. This is why these things need to be done before I finish building those, because building these rooms, because I'm going to have to work around something like this happening. So I don't want to drop that far, per se. Okay, this is very difficult because the floor of this is the ceiling of the hangar down there. What the heck do I do? I'm at a loss. Perhaps the other side will be easier. Let's just look at it. We do have this big room to kind of help us work our way through and down. And I know we already did some weird stuff in the walls right here. That'll let us get down to this area. And that will let us get all the way to the back of the ship. So maybe we run the vents this direction. I know that these walls are going to be very difficult, though, because there's no unused space. There's no space between rooms in any of these rooms. The walls that are the back of that room are part of this room. So, yeah. This is what happens when you don't plan ahead. You end up with an absolute headache. Now, could we run it through here? Sure. We could run it around in the ceiling. We could even run it down this wall. And it wouldn't look terrible. Honestly, like right here. If I ran something down that, it would end up kind of in an awkward spot right there. Yeah, it doesn't go down all the way. We're gonna find a way to weave a pipe through here. That won't look bad. So like that won't look bad, but then I'd have to turn and go through the floor. So That is not a very good option. Can I? So this is very compact. Go down one of those walls. Where do they come up? Right here? Right in the middle of this room, of course. And something through the middle of a room? Though, on a side note, I'm kind of liking the idea of that being open right there. It kind of gives this whole area a more open feel. So let's just look at this without that. I think this part still has to be covered in some way, but I could put railings on this side and it wouldn't look terrible. Huh. Let's go with it. Oh, what? I can put it... Oh, I see why I can put it on this side. It's touching on this side. There's not a good way to make this look nice. So... perhaps we just go like that for now. It kind of looks silly that way, but... What if we angled this whole thing? Like that. Maybe angled the other way would look better. But now I'd be able to put a railing on here. Yeah, that does look kind of silly. This is why these builds take me so long, because it's just one endless distraction after another. Alright, now did I bother? No, I did not bother putting a thing on the back of that, so I won't do it on this one either. Yeah, it kind of works. And I can remove this. Because we have one over there. And it kind of leaves this walkway open a little bit more, which I like. Though, this kind of bothers me, so I'm gonna patch that up and make it look uniform. So that was completely unnecessary change that I just made there, and I don't know if it's better or worse, but it's different, and we're gonna keep it. We need to figure out how to get this pipe. We need to figure out how to get this damn pipe through. What is underneath here? The hangar. Okay. Can I run something through right here? No, this is the bottom of this room. Okay. My rooms are packed way too well. Go down, turn this way, go in the pipe here. Yeah, the other option is to just force things to do what I want them to do. That's a shaped block, right? Is it? Yeah. That is a shaped block. Which means no screwing with that one. But we could step it in here. And then go through the floor of this room. And we'll figure out how to make that look not terrible. And then we can go up the wall. And right there. So boop boop. And then through the floor. And we'll have to put a few full-size conveyors to make sure we're not screwing with our air and shooting it all out into space. I don't really want to do it here, but I think this is where it's going to have to be. We have to have one there. And again, we'll figure out how to make that work with the room. Or we'll have to change this, one of the two, when we get to that. And we're going to need a T-junction. And I'm going to use that. It's going to get covered up, isn't it? Yeah. That's going to be covered up. And we'll use a big pipe here. Wherever things are exposed. We'll use our nice big rounded pipe things. Now, I don't think I want this showing on either side, to be honest. Unless I run it all the way across. And we have one of our links from the right side to the left side of the ship right here. Then I don't mind so much. Ooh, that's screwy. If we do run it across, how does that actually look down there? It actually looks fine because it's just that layer. Dang, that's pretty good actually. I like that. Alright, so that can come all the way across, and it looks okay here, and it looks fine from the inside. This side might actually be the better option, because then I'm not going through the floor of this room. Am I going through the floor of this room? What am I going through over here? I am. Huh. Is that the worst? Maybe I should go through the floor of this room. Because it's kind of just the kitchen area and this one couch. That'll look a little funny. I don't like how it changes this area right here with the big ridge, but I don't mind the kitchen being a little bit funky. Let's run it that way. I might still just leave this. Let's get this side attached too, though. A little bit of redundancy is not going to be bad for us. Gross. Okay. Okay, we need this to be a T. And this to be a straight. And then this would have to be a full-size block. Either that or this one right that I'm up against. Would have to be a full-size block. I think that would look pretty bad. So, I wish there was an airtight option. that didn't look like this, you know? But I think we can make that work just by tweaking what we're doing on the outside here. The struggle is real, for sure. It covers out for the most part. Honestly, I was thinking of changing this anyway, so I already put blinds in because I didn't want people seeing from the lounge into this person's room. That's why the blinds are in the way they are. But if I just change this, maybe we don't even need the blinds. Or maybe we can change the way they work. It's not terrible. It could be better though, and we're gonna go for the best we can do. I have no idea how I'm gonna make this better. Could angle the whole thing just slightly. And then this block. It's not gonna be pretty. Ugh. All those edges. Gross. If it looked like that, I would find it acceptable. But then you put that block in and it's just armor edges galore. Which is disgusting. Completely unacceptable. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe it was just better with the exposed conveyor. Ugh. Hate it, but I might accept it. What could I do here? What could I do here? It is problematic. It is problematic that things are packed so well together. We'll figure that out at some point. I might even just go out the bottom of the ship and traverse across the bottom of the ship on the outside to get to those blocks. Because that is most definitely an option. All I have to do is go down any of these walls and I can be outside the ship. Or somewhere else in the top of the hangar. This connection is not terrible. It would have to be the way I had it though on this side. All right. The reinforced conveyors are airtight on 3 of their sides usually. I'll show you. If it's blue, it's airtight. They're just not airtight on the sides that don't look like they would be airtight. So they are useful, actually, specifically for airtightness. They're just not airtight on their ends, which is why I need to use these full conveyor blocks to make regions airtight. I'm done worrying about that though. I want to work out where the heck I'm going to put all my thrusters and what the heck kind of thrusters I'm going to want. I'm thinking I will have atmospheric, but pretty much only for vertical lift. Ion I want to have in every direction so I can completely run on ion when I'm in space. And hydrogen I want mostly lift, but every direction for those as well. The ion thrusters I don't have to pipe up, so that's not going to be too much of an issue. The hydrogen is going to be tricky though, because I don't have pipes in a lot of places. I was planning on running pipes all the way along the bottom of the ship, but I have yet to really get into that. Partially because I want to figure out all the interior space first, kind of. But I gotta do something. Gotta do something for lift. And I gotta make the bottom of this not so gosh darn flat. It is pretty gross right now, the whole bottom of this ship. And I don't think this part of the bottom is gonna get any further down. So I really need to decorate this part of the bottom. And we can do that. We can do that pretty easily, honestly. Just get rid of that. Get a double zigzag pattern going in here. I want to kind of frame out where this room is, so I need to know how long this room is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 blocks long. Okay, so it is exactly this length. Cool. We're gonna put some fans down here. We'll work that into the bottom too. That'll make the bottom more interesting. So let's try and center those around this region. It's gonna be one of the really nice things about the new wind bad boys. Right there, right there, there. It's not quite perfect. But that's not bad. Okay, it's already looking better. Did not take much to get this polishing. Well, that helps. These kind of have big hitboxes though, which is not all that cool. Hitboxes are larger than they look. I'm going to add some landing gears. I think we'll go ahead and use the big fat ones. As much as I don't particularly care for that. I think they make sense for a ship this size. Suppose I could use, I haven't ever used the big round ones. Holy moly, they're massive. They look super cool though, we're gonna use them. Oh, crazy. These things are so huge. That is bonkers. That'll work though. They're not exactly centered in that region, but I think I'm gonna live with it. Because this is all gonna be a little bit weird anyway. I think I'd like one to be a little bit closer to the front. I can change the fans up. This looks good from the bottom though, which is about as important to me as it looking good from the side. Yeah, I'm gonna leave them. I'm gonna leave them where they are. And maybe now's a good time to actually work on that folding door. This is gonna be a tricky one. I need a door to fold up into this area and merge. I guess I don't need it to merge, actually, because I have an airtight hanger. So that makes it a little bit easier. I need them to be able to drive up it, though, when it's tilted. That kind of makes it tricky. Will a blast door fit on this the way I want it to? There's going to be a bit of a gap, but I think this will work just fine. We'll have to merge that together. Yep, let's figure that out right now. Could even, I think this will be cool. Where are you, block that I want? There it is. Okay. Gonna work that right in. Conveniently. Neat. I need a control something to fix those rotors. Just move them away from each other for now. And hopefully that gives me enough room in between to put merge blocks. In fact, it does not. That is a little bit unfortunate. But we know how to fix this. It's just going to be more work. Oh, I need to rotate one of those first. This should do the trick. There we go. Set the rotor displacement. No, oh, place a rotor head and then just attach it. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I probably should have just done it that way. This wasn't terribly difficult though. That would have been the smart way to do it. Apparently I'm not smart, so I did it the harder way. I just did it the first way that came to mind that I knew would work. So if I screw this up and I have to do it again though, I'll do it the smart way next time. I do want to change these to this direction. We'll go like that. Yeah, I guess the result is the same, so I'm not going to complain. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to just go 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I do want to use some ramps in it. I want to use some of these so that I can have it extend into the ground. I think that's going to be valuable. One short. Yeah, because these aren't going to move. 1, 2, 3. You're right. Panels? You think panels work better for the ramps? I'm not sure. I've never used them though, so could be accurate. I actually never used these either for ramps, so I just think this will help it slide into place with how close these are. It'll help it just kind of bump into place a little more nicely. Taking a blueprint here while it's clanging super hard. I tweaked the offset. Now it's upset. I need more clearance on the sides is really what it comes down to. I knew this was going to be a problem. I should just make the ramp not as wide as the door. Or just make the door one less wide as well. I guess it doesn't have to be this wide anyway. So just fix that. Because everything's like running into each other. Now, wasn't there an update where they're like, oh yeah, everything slides together nicely now? It doesn't. Don't lie to me. It very much does not slide together nicely. There's even slopes to like help guide it in. I thought that would be sufficient. Let me just look at these rotors. Maybe I'm telling one to go one way and one to go the other way. I'm pretty sure I have to do it that way, but... yeah, this should be working fine. It gets stuck right here, though. It tips up just enough, and then it gets stuck. It works if you just crank it up. Some obscene number. I don't like that though. I don't want to have to do that. Yeah, the second rotor is completely unnecessary, honestly. But it should... It's scraping so hard that I have to crank this up to like a crazy amount. It's not cool. Thing is, it's not like damaging anything. It's just like I gotta turn that up to a crazy number. I don't know. Maybe we'll live with it. Maybe we'll just live with it. The thing is, if I have it cranked up to that number and then I lower it and it touches the ground, that's not good. Yeah, the rotors are set to opposite. That part's just fine. Set their limits in their stuff correctly. Negative from 0 to 90 and positive from negative 90 to 0. Yeah, that should be fine. I believe. They're not fighting against each other. I could just turn one of them off. Oops. Just turn one of them off and I run the other one. It doesn't have enough oomph. Just running one of them. Even with two of them, it's not doing well. I think I could tweak the rotor displacement to get it in like just the right location to make this work. Yeah, the block collision is definitely the problem. So like I said, I could just make the gate narrower so that it sits off from these side support blocks, or I could change the side support blocks. Those aren't set in stone, so I'll probably change them anyway. But I do kind of like the gate being wide. So maybe I just need to use different blocks for this whole setup. Use blocks that sit in half a block in that area, and then it won't be a problem. Just get rid of that whole thing. Let's just make sure that this part turns okay. Even that part has problems turning. All right. Well, we'll get rid of all that. We'll get this working with this for now. See, the problem with doing the piston head is I can't place the piston head. Or the rotor head, I should say. I don't think those blocks will have problems turning. And in the middle here, I think I might still use blast doors on the top because I think it'll come out with a nice angle. When this is tilted, I think you'll be able to drive in more easily. I'm going to do the merge block thing again just because how am I going to place the piston head to do the piston head thing? Because I need to place the piston head or place the rotor itself in the same space. It's not going to let me do that, right? I don't think I have any collision problems with that. I really hope not. Okay. To reset the displacement on the other one. Ah, there we go. No, I just kind of like blast doors for this. That's not going to work, I know, but... Well, not going to work perfectly. I need to put something here that's just a little bit short. What is a good block for that? I guess I could just use these. And then we could paint them. And make it look okay. Yeah, they should fold up all right. Neon on the ramp. Oh, you can't texture these. Heck. Huh. I can color these, but I can't use like a nice texture on them. How would I put neon on the wrap? You like neon lights? Like tube lights? Oh, that would actually kind of look cool on the edge there. Maybe had a half neon tube thing. That like only went halfway into a block. I worry that that's going to collide and start our problems all over again, but I kind of like the idea of having something like that. Oh, I guess I could turn it the other way. Do we have... We don't really have a short... Yeah, I can't even place that, so it's colliding. Oh, what did I just delete? I just deleted the rotor. How did I even aim at that game? Don't give me that garbage. What am I aiming at? Seriously. Whatever. We'll fix all that. I don't actually remember. Okay, no, it's not that one. Okay, there we go. That one's in line with the other ones, and this... It's gonna go on like that. These are gonna... Nah, they won't get in the way when it closes. I have faith that they just won't. Alright, so that will lower. Those will extend into the ground. And hopefully we'll be able to drive up it. I certainly hope so. We'll find out. Maybe I'll paste this down. We'll slap some thrusters onto it and fly it around a little bit today. That'll be the goal, to actually make this move today. Cool. I find that acceptable, honestly. I can't quite wedge myself through when it's up. It's a little bit annoying. But that's okay. And do I bother putting the other hinge back on? I don't think we do for now. Oh, we got all these new button things I could use. We only really need one button, right, to open and close this door? Yeah. Because we'll just have a sensor or a event controller extend those blocks when it gets to a certain extension, or as soon as it detects dirt. For now, we will change the angle. -30 degrees. Oh, shoot. -30, that's what I meant. Alright, so this should slope down and give us a nice flat kind of surface to drive off onto. Yeah, I think most cars that I build would be able to drive over that. And this is kind of steep, but it needs to be able to touch the ground. I don't think 30 is... I don't think it has to go quite that far. Let's just build out and see how far it actually does have to. Oh, so that's actually fairly close. A little bit less. We'll do a little bit less, and then we'll have it extend the rest of the way. Oh my, why is it so angry when I do that? It freaks me out. Past the limit, and then I lower the limit, it just shoots it back up. Stop right there. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. Alright. That's what I want to see. Probably should have made these side blocks out of heavy armor. I'm going to swap that. I like how it's not actually pasting in the way it's showing me. The heck? I guess it just doesn't care. It's going to bake the pattern whatever the heck it wants to do. I'd like my patterns to be mirrored, please. What in the actual heck? The paint job, man. It doesn't care. Okay. Doesn't care if I rotate the block. The paint job just does what it wants. So we're not going to worry about it. This is a little scary that these are going to... Oh, the collision box is actually okay, because the collision box is a yellow, I believe. Yeah. I think we're okay. Hopefully those won't hit the ground when we land. We'll have to land somewhere really flat like an ice lake anyway, so... Yeah, we'll be alright. Let's add an event controller somewhere where we can see what it's doing. The event controller honestly should probably go back here. This is the maintenance room for all of this. And it would go good in here. Oh, that's the back of it. Maybe I go like this. And we put two of them. Looks kind of cool. Sucks on the inside. We'll use just an interior block here. Okay, that's fine. This will be our event controller for this bad boy. And when it reaches 0 degrees, it'll start extending. So if it's less than 0, it'll extend. If it's greater, it'll retract. Oh, I need to group all of those though. There, 1, 2, 3. I need to be able to see them while I do this. That works. Oh, shoot. It's easy. They're all on a different grid. Alright, I don't know what I'm going to call these. What am I going to call this ship? All your production can auto pull when it needs so. You're forced to engineer. Can't auto pull what it needs. I think you were talking about this one before, and you use the sorters to like push stuff. It's an interesting concept, that's for sure. Wait, what? Do I not have rotor? Wait a second. Angle changed, right? Wait. Okay, there we go. It's angle changed. I want the threshold to be 0. If it's greater than or equal to 0, I want it to... Alright, that should do it. Let's try it. What I should really do is just have this open and close those, and then when these are open, it have an event controller start turning this. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. Well, I had that going the wrong way, apparently. That's okay. We have a blueprint saved right before we did this disaster. And we know what we want it to look like now. Hey. Well, now we know that makes a jolly good mess of the center of our ship, if you ever do that. Alright. Blueprint time. Where's our blueprints? I don't actually remember what I named this ship. Blueprint was taken right before we did the... Oh. While we were doing this. While it was clanging. I'm glad that didn't yeet into my structure. Alright. We're gonna salvage some of this. Let's get rid of all this. I'm not gonna rebuild this whole thing. I don't know why it does that sometimes. It just refuses to paste anywhere near me. I don't know if you told me about the hydrogen thruster tank one. At least I do not recall hearing about it. We're gonna have to rebuild this anyway, aren't we? Alright, fine. Fine. 0... So this was the one that was backward. That's why it didn't work. Yeah, okay. 0 is... let's get these both back. Okay. Okay, so they are at 0. Good. So that should be... I should build it facing up. We're going to just change these. And we're going to use one rotor. Honestly, I could use hinge instead. Would hinge be better? Probably. Nah. We're going to just put the rotor on correctly. I want 0 to be facing straight out, not straight out. There we go. 0 is facing straight out. And I don't want to use the one on this side because I want... Oh. Yeah, no. I don't want to use the one on this side. I want to use this one. And we'll have 0 be facing straight up. Okay. There we go. 0 is facing straight up. Now we get rid of all this junk. And let's see if it lets us paste this on. No. It might if we move that in, though. Maybe not. What if we just build that one block? Shoot. Really does not want to let me do this. But why, game? Just be nice for once. Ugh. Alright, we're gonna rebuild the whole thing, because it's being a jerk. This is partially why I hate building these doors. They are just a nightmare. I'm tempted to build the rotor on this side and just not attach it. Just have it there for looks. Gosh dang it, if I'm gonna build the rotor there though, I'm gonna make the dang thing work. Alright. We're doing it. Double rotor. Need to not accidentally detach the wrong block now, because I have to do that like a fourth time. I'm actually gonna go insane. Alright. We've got that now again. Now we need to blueprint it, so I never have to do that again. It's not gonna work. I was looking at a hangar door. For some reason, my blueprints never actually work. It says it works, but they don't actually work if I'm looking at a hangar door. And we are going to do something in here, and we're going to do it on both sides. Maybe we'll just put these in this room. Like, that would be a useful thing actually just to have in this room. Yeah, I know exactly what I'm going to do with the room, but I think having these in here is valuable, because this is the maintenance room for the hangars. We'll put them back a little bit. Put it like there, and then we can put shelves and stuff in front of it. So one of these. I need a name for this ship so bad. Oh my gosh. Because I need to start making block groups, and I don't want to have to change them all. I'm going to if I don't have the name of the ship. John. Dude, if I get another John, Bob, or Dave recommendation, I'm gonna die. If you can make that an acronym, that makes sense. I will consider it. I need to just stop asking for names. So when that opens, I want to switch the direction of the rotors. I could have it switch when they close, too. Not gonna worry about that now. Alright. Now we should be able to try this. Not quite. Please don't blow up. Oh. Yeah. Dude, what in the actual hell? Why is it doing that? So, we have a blueprint, so it's not a big deal, but this is actually working wrong. These event controls are so buggy. So it was just lowering. This is what just happened. It was going from open at 115 degrees to closed at 0 degrees. This one is detecting the proper rotor. It's detecting this one, the forwards one, so I know that that's what's happening. Input rotor forwards left. Yeah, so yeah. This one's currently at 115 degrees. It got down to 90, and then it started opening the doors, which, if I go to this and look at it, it should be triggering the doors to close, right? Well, right now it's... Did I put this on wrong? On the tab wrong? Oh, wait. So when it's... Condition is greater than or equal... No, that's right. So when it's greater than or equal to 90, the door should open. Yeah. Triggering output action slot 1. Then why in the actual hell was it closing and it got less than that number and it started opening the gates when it's supposed to start closing them? What in the actual bugginess? Seriously. I didn't even do it wrong this time. It just actually doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Frustrating. Very frustrating. Somebody at Keen needs to get their stuff together, because those event controllers, I swear, man, they are the worst. They are the buggiest, most annoying thing to work with I've ever used. I don't know. I don't know. Alright, well, cool. That happened again. I need to just not use event controllers. They're so dumb. Like, they could be so good, but I've had nothing but trouble using them. Even for simple things like this. So we'll just leave the door open for now, and that'll be the last thing we work on. It'll be one of those times where I just pray that it gets fixed by the time I'm finishing my build, but I know it won't because it's already been 6 months, and it still won't be fixed 6 years from now. Anyway. The door shuts, and if it wasn't being silly, it would work, so I'm done working on that for now. I really could start doing some painting, honestly, for a lot of this stuff. A little bit of paint would go a long ways. What do we have here for paint? Might actually use colors I always use. Nothing wrong with black and white. I know I shouldn't be mirroring at that point. I'm screwing up the paint on the other side. Painting this is going to be miserable. Absolutely miserable. Because I'm not going to be able to mirror any of it. I'm going to have to do all sorts of weird stuff. Yeah, it's gonna look better with the paint job, that's for sure. I'm not gonna finish doing the painting now, though. And there's some weird bits that I might not want to paint, just because they're gonna screw with how it looks on the inside. Might live with a little screwiness, though. Maybe we'll finish doing a little bit of painting in the front here. Do I want those to be painted, actually? Maybe not. Probably a lighter color would look good. Similar gray. I could also do all of the floor in a slightly different color, and I think that would look good. Slightly darker gray. Anywho, none of this is what I wanted to get done today. I wanted to get done with some of the thruster stuff today. It is kind of a disaster of an idea, but I might try and do it. We did get a little bit of atmospheric thrusters stuck on the bottom here, and we got a few landing gears, which will be good. I want to leave this central channel open, or do a zigzag pattern in it with these little angled blocks. A more neutral gray. Not bad, but it could definitely be better. We need to space these out more. There we go. That's better. Might even switch those to all being the same direction eventually, but it's not bad for now. You can actually use this color here too. No, don't want that ridge. Leave that dark. That part looks fine on the bottom. I need to fix the side here and do something with the other side, because the other side's mess. It's just a giant hole. I might sneak in some thrusters or something on the side over here, because we have the room to do it. I might slip in a couple large thrusters here. Wouldn't be a bad spot for them. And we could even stack 3 if we wanted. And that will give us a lot of our juice in that direction. Of course, I'm going to have to accommodate what's going on behind there and what's going on below it. So it's going to be a little bit tricky, because I want things to mesh together and look like they belong. I could just bump them out a little bit, which gives us plenty of room to work with the pipes back there. And they're still flush with this, so that doesn't look terrible. And we can do something right here to make them blend on this side a little bit better. Could do something like we have right there. This is actually all the same room here, so perhaps what we'll do is we'll just bring it up, just like it is on the other side. This whole window area is going to completely change at some point, so I don't worry too much about that. We're going to make this kind of mirrored around the thruster on this level. No, let's keep it low. That kind of blends that together a little bit better. It's going to need some paint to look the best it can. And we'll let this room have a view out this direction, but it will only be on the top. We're not going to have thrusters mirrored on the other side there, but we'll find a different spot to put the left-right hydrogen thrusters on the right side. Because it is just not gonna, it's not gonna happen right here, unfortunately. This is, it's right there. Just gonna open that up. Not sure what I'm going to do right there. But I'm actually thinking of having a an entrance of some sort there. So I'm going to leave it open to keep that idea in mind. And let's do some of the pipe work here. Just try and keep things flowing as I do them. I think we'll have to go in through that. Ah, that's an elbow. So we're gonna go down one more and then turn it. There we go. We got pipes going in there. We can turn it across like this and pop them up where we have to. All hooked in. Perhaps what we could do on the other side is have some hydrogen tanks. Maybe. Just want to look at it from the bottom because I do want to like try and keep it symmetrical-ish. I've got a 2-wide gap and then thrusters. I actually have enough for a 2-wide gap and then thrusters on this side. They're just going to be kind of sticking out. But I do have the room for it, technically. Just want to look at that. That's not the same, is it? No, it's not. It's only 1 wide. Darn. Such a awkward thing to work with. Perhaps what I do is I just go to the back here and I start working on different things. I'm going to have to connect all these things eventually. This is, again, right behind the hangar. Back hangar. This might not be a bad place to add some hydrogen tanks. Like big hydrogen tanks. Stack them that way. This will hook up all of those on either side. We're gonna need so much hydrogen to keep this bad boy floating. So remembering to just chunk in space for tons of hydrogen tanks is a wise thing to do. Even if I don't put thrusters over here, I honestly might just put like a line of hydrogen tanks and then like have them look like they're strapped onto the side there. Stick off a little bit. Oh, and my mirroring was on. So I just ripped a couple of these, but we can fix that right away. Alright, this is holding me up, so we're going to have to do it. I wasn't going to do it, but we're going to have to do it. We have to find a way to get the crew quarters area here down into the lower decks of the ship without going through passenger parts of the ship. I really don't want to do it here. I really don't want to do it here. Doesn't leave me with a whole lot of options. If I want to keep my hallway structure, which I do, but I might have to sacrifice and just come up with a new hallway structure. Or change it. I'll leave it on this end and change it on this end. Make sure my mirroring isn't on for this part. That would be terrible. Just start gutting the inside of my ship in places that don't need it gutted. Okay. So this blue block up here is not critical in the sense that I know it's not shaped because this one isn't. So I could change the shaping there. And we can actually step down here. We will have to turn. We'll have to get rid of that. We'll have to turn like there. What if I did it? It's just weird because I'm making this room really hard to get into. I suppose I could move the door over for this room. Well, let's just do that. What the heck? Adding uniqueness. We'll move the door over for this room. And we'll put the locker right there. Alright, has all the same blocks, it's just a little bit different now. And this hallway is still kind of sloped and weird. Because it's only kind of sloped on that one side now. Yeah. The remnant of the past. What can you do? And we're gonna make steep stairs, I think, for this one. It's just crew access. Yeah. This elevator scare me. I could do it though. The heck? Oh, and they can go look at their fish tank still at least. I guess that's not the worst change. I'm kind of sad I had to forfeit my angled walls. Suppose I could put them back on this side at least. It just had a nice symmetry to it before. Now it's questionable. I'm down. I still have to deal with all of these things. And I'm gonna keep them separate. I'm determined to keep them separate. We will not do the same for this side, but proof of concept for this side, we're gonna do all of these different rooms. We'll pipe them all in weird. That staircase to get all the way down here eventually. So that's gonna be tricky. Also kind of want to add a whole lot of downwards thrust right in the middle here, because it'll look nicer if it's in the middle than if it's all the way at the back. Also, thrusters are crazy heavy, so putting them near the center of my ship would be ideal. Thrusters, storage, refining. I think I'll probably only have like one refinery and a couple assemblers. But if I'm going to make a ship this big, I'm certainly going to make it at least able to take care of itself. I know it's a luxury ship, but I'm going to make it a functional base. It'd just be silly not to. I have the room. Maybe. If that is going to extend the rest of the way, which I think I want it to bow a little bit and look different, but it might stay at that level. That's kind of the measure of the bottom of our ship. It's going to be basically 1, 2, 3, 4 decks high, each deck being 2 to 3 blocks. What is this space? I don't think the space is going to go into anything other than these rooms. Unless I really wanted to have like a bottom-facing observation area. This might be the place to do it, honestly. Let's make a really cool bottom viewing area right here. Going to be like a tiered thing, and then the bottom is just going to be glass. But it's going to function as a corridor between those rooms, these rooms, and this main staircase, which goes up to our main lobby and to our pool. So this will be kind of the low main lobby. Just put it right below the other one. I want this to be circular-ish. Let's see, I don't want to constrict walking too much on this side. I think it'll be okay. If I do so it a little bit. I think that's going to be too big of a hole. No. If I tear it inwards, it won't be. And at the back of the room, it's just going to cut off, I think. Yeah, because we can do all this. This can all be the back wall of a room behind it. So we can still shape this part. Right, and then down a floor. I should really be checking to see if I can make railings work for this. I think I will. I think I will be able to get railings to work for this. That'll be where our staircases down go. Don't know. So I can walk down, or I can walk around on that floor. This next floor won't be big enough to walk around on. Maybe that's just where the hole will be. It'll just be one step down. And then another, and you'll just be on glass at that point. Walls are going to be a little bit awkward. I hate having the border. I think having the border is going to be necessary. Walk across. I'm gonna have to put doors on this hallway though. I might have to turn this whole thing. I like the idea, but I think we're gonna have to just execute it a little bit differently. Leave that there. I need to sort out these hallways first. Alright, hallway number 1. Super long hallway. Has some doors. It needs doors on the other end, or it's just not going to work nicely. This area will just be way too large to be airtight ever. I think we can put 2 doors and then pillars. And that's how we'll get into those hallways. And then we're going to have to make this hole slightly different. And I'm going to make it just drop all the way to the bottom. And there'll be some sort of staircase or ladder that you can use to get down there. It's going to be a smaller hole. Small lobby area. Maybe you won't even be able to get into that lower area from here. You'll have to go somewhere else to actually get into it. But you'll be able to look down from here. I love how perfectly circular that works out. Yeah, I like that. Put some chairs and benches around this to make it feel a little more cozy. Yeah, that's cool. I'm basically doing the same thing, just in game. Just reorganizing this little room. Got an idea. Huzzah! I know what I'm gonna do. I'll make the ceiling more interesting. I haven't done this in like any of my rooms. of our railings in here. Seriously? Why does that always happen? I always miss the one I'm looking for. So we've got kind of interesting room here. We're going to make this pit go all the way down to the bottom of the ship and exit the ship. Oops, I thought that would break my ship in half, but apparently it pasted itself back together because it's a station. It's a little bit awkward. We'll figure out what the heck we're going to do with this opening on the outside of the ship. Probably just work it into our design some way, shape, or form. Perhaps that'll be where, break it, that'll be where this ends. That'll be the terminal point of this double streak. And then we'll have something else going on different down here. Kind of like that idea. Don't need that anymore. It's just processing, mental processing. We're gonna put some couches over here. Actually, some refreshments. This would be a good spot for you to be able to grab some refreshments for sure. So we'll put a dispenser. Oh, I actually have it. We don't want this mirrored. Actually, we can put that right there. Then I can't put a counter next to it. I always like having a counter next to a dispenser. Seems reasonable. You can like fill up your stuff, put your straws or whatever over there. I don't know. And we can use some of our decorative interior stuff to make this more interesting. This little corner at least. I don't mind it. Some couches in here if you're waiting for a friend to go do something. It's not a bad spot to just chill. Chill around the circle. I'm gonna have to do something about these hallways. They're a little bit weird. I'm not sure how I'm going to light them because they're 1.5 blocks wide. So, yeah, we're going to have to figure that one out. But we're also going to have to decorate them a little bit. What I might do is just have them slope in somehow. Just to make him a little more interesting. Might have to do something. Something about that. Maybe even go like that. And then have the other side be... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out those hallways. Those are gonna be tricky ones. I like this room. And it kind of screws with the rest of our ship, which is not a bad thing. It just it's making it a little more interesting. We have some room down here to work with. Maybe the engineers can walk around this room from below. This would just be like an interesting access path area. Maybe I should actually just tidy that up. I can almost not see out of it from up here. Maybe instead of a railing, I should just put windows over it, so you can walk over it. I'm gonna have to put a window somewhere. I'm gonna have to put a window down here, actually. We can do that, maybe. How are we gonna make this airtight? We have to do a bunch of overlapping. Let's put the windows on this just to make sure we can make it work. Not pretty, but it's airtight. And that might change entirely anyway. This part I'm not going to change though. This is going to be like this. Put a nice big light up there. Ooh, actually, those are opportunities, those spots. I'm going to have to not put lights there. Those are good spots for something else. I just thought of it. I don't like that. Or that. We do more of our hanging signs right here. Something to look at as you go around. We're going to need a whole lot of images for all those, but eventually we will have the images. And I could put signs here and there. I think I'll not do that. Do something else there. Perhaps even just lights, like normal lights right there. How are we going to light these back corners, though? I suppose we could pretty much get it all with that central light. If I can ever find this light, this is why I need to manage my lights as I do them. Okay, so it was in that group somewhere. There it is. I'm gonna make this a dimly lit lobby. But I guess we only really need that one light for this whole area, which is pretty nice. Cut down on PCU. Make everything run a little bit more smoothly. I'll leave this open for now, but I know that that's going to eventually be closed. Thinking maybe on the sides here is where I'm going to have my rows of hydrogen thrusters that face downwards, because we're going to need a lot of hydrogen to lift this ship, I think. Lots of thrusters. Do I want to inset them completely or not? What happens if I continue this all the way back to like there? I don't really like that. Also, it's completely different on the other side. This is really hard to commit to any one idea because I know that I'm going to have to work it around a lot of other things. This is kind of important. And once I build it, I'm not going to move it, but I need to make sure I'm going to be able to fit everything else I want in this ship in the central region. So if I build the exterior, I want to build the exterior so that I can not get overly carried away with the inside and then not be able to fit stuff on the outside. But either one I build is going to make the other one like significantly harder to do. So I'm stalled on which I should do first. Oh, it's one of those things where you're trying to like keep in mind 50 different aspects of a build all at the same time, because you can't screw up any of them. It's very difficult. This is why a lot of ships, a lot of people don't build ships this size. Or if they do, they just build the hull first and then try and fill out the interior. But I'm trying to do it all at the same time. Trying to make the hull look okay while making the interior functional and pretty. I'm going to get another baseline here. I can't go below this. Actually, that's not going to build on both sides. This is the critical lowest point of my ship because that's where the landing gears are, and I'm not going to change the front here. So I'm going to make these red blocks. Ship cannot go below that point. And I'm going to need more landing gears at that point. Just let me place it, please. Thank you. It does actually give me a little bit of room to wiggle with thrusters and whatnot. How far down is that from this? 5 blocks only? That's unfortunate. That's a little unfortunate. At least it's not only 3. That would be terrible. Because I gotta do stuff with this layer right here. And I need to put 3 tall thrusters in. And I'm probably don't want the thrusters to go below this point. But I could have the thrusters go all the way down to the ground. It wouldn't be the end of the world. It's just going to look a little bit funny. So I could use some big atmospheric thrusters here. And I do think I'm going to have to do that to be able to lift this with my atmospheric. But these are going to have to be in external compartments. And they're not going to let me do what I want with those conveyors. So I think I'm going to have to put my tall thrusters, I think I'm going to have to put them in the middle of the ship here. So we've narrowed down at least one thing I'm going to absolutely have to do, and that is basically this. And now we've got a back point too, which is kind of good to know. I don't know how many of these thrusters I'm going to need exactly, but I know it's going to be quite a few. I don't want to put them down that far though. What is in the way here? Get out of the way. Oh no. That has to be there, doesn't it? Oh, shoot. That's the end point. Can't go past that. Okay, so so on there. I have 6 of these, right? Yeah. So I can go 3 and 3 with those. That's not bad. Those are going to have to be external as well. Perhaps I have a main external area here. It'll be inset in the ship, but it won't be airtight. Let's see, if I do all that, then the floor is going to have to be here. At least over those. This gives us a 2-high deck, which is good. It gives us enough room to run all the pipes in this region. And this deck can be and this could be external deck. And this is a room that I could build an airlock out of, for sure, on this side. And we have a way to step between the two sides right there. This side, I don't really have room for an airlock into it, but that's okay. We can have one entrance right there, and we can have an entrance at the back somewhere, which we can figure out. That'll be just fine. Now I need to get some hydrogen thrusters along the sides here. And I want them to be I just deleted something on the other side, probably. Non-symmetrical ships, always killing. There we go. What is this right here? Why is this here? It's a ridge. What is it doing? What does it mean? It's not supposed to be there. It's doing nothing. Okay. Now we know. Yeah, okay, this room is there. Alright, I need to put thrusters on here. I need them to be 1 block off of that. So I'm going to put a line. This is what that line was on the other side, probably. It was for placing thrusters, probably. And I don't know how many I'm going to need to fly. So I'm going to put more than I think I need. This is going to be a really heavy ship. I have a lot of atmospheric thrusters, but not entirely convinced it's going to be enough to actually lift us. I want it to be enough, but I'm not entirely convinced it will be. And that's where having a crazy amount of hydrogen thrusters comes in. Well, they're sitting a little bit wider than I want them to sit. Let me get rid of our red line here. So I can get a better feel for how this looks. Might have to use different thrusters so they mesh better with everything else that I'm doing. Nobody knows. Will I be able to make that look good, or do I have to move them in a little bit? I don't think I should move them in one block. I should move them in one block and make them line up with these thrusters a little bit. Nah, we'll have them be different. This should be lined up though. How much room does that give me on the inside though? So I'm gonna have to have a wall, so these are outside. Good luck. Good luck with your cursed fighters. Okay, that's uniform with the other side now. I think I'm gonna have to make this hallway and these rooms extend one more room this direction. Just to fit with the thrusters below them. I'm fine with that idea though. I'll bring us perfectly right to the back of this. Printable Corvettes. Everything you build should be printable. Honestly. In my opinion. I know not everything I build is even printable, but it's one of those goals that's always in the back of my mind with my builds. Make it printable. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. I don't think that's going to be enough hydrogen. We're going to have to add more elsewhere, and I'm not sure where that's going to be. Well, I guess I actually don't. This room is going to be not interior anyway, so I actually don't have to put a wall here at all. Which is really good. I'm definitely going to move these over then. Because the spacing... Oh. Spacing won't be better if I move them over. But maybe I shouldn't care. Okay, so if I center one there. I have 2. 1, 2. 1. Quite have enough for 2 there. But doesn't look bad. Trying to keep some of the themes I have on the sides, make it so that they can go continue. That one would be able to continue on that side, which is a plus. There isn't one going on this side currently, but I could, like so. And that would look good. But now I need to mesh these in. And that's going to be tricky. And then, oh, I know what I'll do. This will work. We need more landing bad boys back here. And that'll help mesh it just a little bit. That can be turned. What should I do with that? Oh. Those two lines need to stay separate. They don't look good attached. here, bits here. almost enough room to do a lot of things. Can't quite put, I mean, I could put refineries in here. It'd be a little bit tricky. I can't quite put cargo in here because it's not a 3x3 area, which is kind of unfortunate. And this room up here isn't really enough room for that. This is going to be air vents and gyroscopes. Probably solid. Though I could put gyroscopes down here. This is a pretty good spot to put them. Kind of all along the bottom here is pretty good. I'm okay with how most of this front section looks from the bottom. So I'm not going to change it. We're going to work with our weird space that we have right here. And we're going to take out... Ooh, no, we need the floor in here because this is going to be airtight, this section. And this section is not going to be airtight. I'm going to attach that so we can remove that chunk right there, because that doesn't have to be there technically. This is only too high right here. Man, we really needed a 3-high chunk to put some big cargo in. I'm not going to move the thrusters down. I want them to be recessed at least that far so that only the landing gear looks like it would touch the ground. Even though in reality, these thrusters are all the way down to the ground, unfortunately. Well, I guess the hitbox is orange. I guess it's a little bit higher, ever so slightly. Pretty sure the hitbox is orange on that when I hover over it. How much room do I have right here? 1, 2, 3. Pretty narrow. Pretty narrow right there. Okay, so in my head, this is going to be nothing but air vents and gyroscopes. This is going to be a whole nother layer with tons of gyroscopes, probably. I'm not going to make this able to turn super fast, because the more gyros I put on it, the heavier it's going to be and the harder it's going to be to like fly around on a planet. And it's a cruise ship. You don't want those whipping around super fast anyway. It's not a battleship, so I'm going to worry about that. But I really do want to fit some large cargo in here. The only place I can think of to do that would be right above these thrusters and have it also be part of the non-interior. So I have a look at that. Yeah. could use these fancy ones. But they have fewer hookup points, and they'd have to go all the way up here. So I don't need hookup points on the bottom. This area behind the stairs could go without. This is right in the way of my staircase, though. Yeah, it cuts into my air vent area, just way too much. I guess I have this room back here. I need to just slap some big cargo containers in here just to block off in my mind that that is what is going there, whether I want it to or not. I would love it to be more central to the ship, because those are heavy blocks. It would be ideally way up here. But you gotta do what you have to do. Maybe I'll put one of them up here, like this one right here. No, that one can't be there either. Just really can't. We will put some production in this area though. We'll find a way to make that work. Production gyroscopes. We'll put our cargo back here. And then we're going to need a whole bunch more hydrogen, so... Oh, we can put a reactor? Our reactor's also going to be big, because I want a full-size reactor for this. I guess that all makes sense back here. We'll make an engine room, and reactors and all that other crazy stuff down on this end. Still have all this back area. We're gonna have to make upwards facing thrusters. That actually might be what I do with this little area at the end of the hallway here. Just block off that hallway. We need up and down thrusters. And I do still need to make sure this room is finished. This is that back lounge. Looks into the back hangar. And I want to add some other use rooms off of this. So I should probably finish all of that, and then I can work on the rest of this tail area. At least we got some of these blocked in. Some of the thrusters in the middle. Not bad. I will do the crazy networking of all these pipes, probably off stream. I'm gonna get a couple refineries in here though. We have the room. They're kind of heavy, but there's a lot of just empty space here. What if I put a really long strip of sideways thrusters right along here? That could be really cool. We could do ions too. We already have all of our thrusters already set up. How convenient. We do have the ability to do some ion thrusters. And these don't have to obey what's happening right here at all. I only need, gosh, I mean, need and want. I would like to have 4 in each direction. 4 large ion thrusters for a ship this big. It's going to be barely enough to get it limping in different directions, but I think that's what I'm just going to have to be okay with. And this setup actually does allow for that in a somewhat mirrored fashion. It is kind of a big slab on the bottom now. I was thinking of having these in the back, but I still need up, down, and forwards thrusters along the back. So I really need to fit these in wherever I can find a good spot for them. I don't want them sticking out that far though. I want them like this, nested. That'd be better. Would be better. I don't think I'm going to be able to pull that off though in the way I want. The other option is just using a bazillion small thrusters. I am trying to save a little bit of PCU and be a little bit more weight efficient, and the bigger thrusters are always more weight efficient. So, yeah. Always worth trying to do if you can. Use the big ones anywhere and everywhere that it is possible. I'm going to put in more tanks back here because I know we're going to need them. Lots more tanks. Lots more tanks. And turn these ones sideways. Maybe we can have those ones peeking into the exterior just a little bit. Ideally, I'd like to have 2 tanks for every thruster, which is going downwards. That's usually my go-to guesstimate for being able to get off of a planet. If you can lift yourself with all those thrusters, having 2 tanks will be comfortable. 2 tanks for each thruster. 1 tank will be enough just to limp you up or down if you're really thrusting hard, but 2 tanks will be good. We're going to need a lot more tanks because I still think we're going to need more thrusters. Let's throw some gyros on here, hook up some of this stuff, and then take it down to a planet and just test it. I know it's going to be way heavier than it currently is, but it's good to at least gauge. Like if I'm lifting myself really easily right now, then I know I don't need to add tons more thrusters. If I'm not even lifting myself with this, then I need to add a ton more thrusters. So trying to be conscious of what I'm doing. Okay, we're just gonna run some pipes, some giant makeshift pipes back to where we need them. Okay, that gets those fired up. We don't have enough battery power or reactors or anything to run all of these, so I'm going to slap a couple large reactors on here. And I'm still going to want a bunch of jump drives on this. So we have a lot of stuff to pack into the back. Alright, we got that, we got that. Let's slap some thrusters on to the sides, and to the top and to the back, just for stability. We're not really testing that rate. We're not testing these, and this is not where they're going to be eventually. But I need something so that I can take this down to a planet and just test its weight. And also having these on there will make the weight a little bit more realistic too, because we're going to have these thrusters anyway somewhere at some point. So I'm just going to slap on more than I actually need. Or, you know, they're not going to be there. Alright. Gyros. Gyro. I think a great spot would be right along this beam right here. We're going to need about 1 million. We'll delete those ones right there. And we're just going to do a whole nother row of them. I don't think I need this many, but it's not going to hurt. Alright, are we missing thrusters in any direction? Not really, no. We're good. These are not the thrusters we're going to have eventually, but they'll do for now. I really need to add an airlock entrance somewhere near the bridge. For now, let's just delete a window. We'll blueprint this before we turn it into a ship and clang it to death. I don't think it's going to be able to fly on a planet just yet. We'll count how long it takes to get to 100 meters per second. 1,000, 2,000. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Yeah, so barely, maybe, able to fly on a planet. Probably not. Probably not quite. And honestly, that seems like the right amount of gyros. I could probably go with a few less, even. Because I don't need to turn this well in the ship. But the ship is going to get heavier as I finish it. We need more hydrogen thrusters, and then we need to match whatever output the hydrogen thrusters have. We need to match that with our atmospheric, because I want to be able to fly in atmosphere with my downwards hydrogen thrusters off. I don't really care about the side thrusters because you use so little fuel, like getting going and just stabilizing. But for lifting, I want to just override my atmospheric and have my hydrogen basically doing nothing, except when I'm trying to slow down or do something. Let's take it down to a planet and just watch it fall, because I think that's what's going to happen. We will test it on Bertam. Where are you, Bertam? There it is. Found it. Yeah, it actually probably won't fall out of the sky because I do have the atmospheric thrusters on it. Dang it, I keep pushing F10 when I don't mean to. Meant to push F6 to get back into my character control. Let's try flying this thing around, and then we'll flip off the atmospheric. Oh wow, I'm actually hovering with just the hydrogen that I currently have. Just barely. Kind of what I expected. I do not have enough atmospheric thrusters to hover though, which means I need to add more of those. Those are pretty heavy, which will mean I'll have to add more hydrogen. So we're kind of in the position I expected. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a downwards hydrogen in the middle, and then I'll put some more downwards atmospheric on the side so I can double up on that. I can actually just go ahead and do some of that right here. Do I even want this part to be interior space? I can always figure that out later. Oh. Oh my lord. Let me place things. There we go. If I had 3 more of those, I'm going to add a whole lot of weight to the ship. Just as I'm working on it. I might need more. But we're going to pretend that that's going to be enough for now. Honestly, something more like that is realistically what I would need. But remember, I'm going to have to then have at least one. I think I'm going to have to settle for 1 large hydrogen tank per thruster. And that's just not going to happen. I don't have the room on the ship design unless I really change the way the back is going to work and I add drive pods to it. I kind of don't want to because I always end up having to do that to my ships, and I just don't want to do that to this one. But it might just be one of those things we have to deal with. We have to just do. How many more thrusters do I need to make this fly? Actually, what if I did that with this space right here? Just gonna add these for now. These would be inset, these thrusters I'm about to place, but they're just tests. Oh, why am I so bad at building when I'm in atmosphere like this? What the heck? The other thing it could be is I just don't have enough power output for my thrusters. Alright, So what happens now if I turn off my hydrogen? That's a nice lift when I'm running everything. Also, why am I tilting? What the heck? Is that my gate up front being a subgrid and doing what subgrids do? Kind of looks like it slowly tilting to the sides. Well, we have enough atmospheric to lift now. Just barely. That's cool. So I need to write down this number, and we need to shoot for at least this number of thrusters of these types. So I need to add 6 more large atmospheric and 3 more hydrogen. Yep. Maybe a little bit more than those numbers, but it's kind of good enough. I don't know how many gyros we have. Yeah, 80 something gyroscopes. Seems about right for a ship this big. Swooping bits to it to make it look not like an absolute massive disaster, which is what it's looking like right now. Yeah, it's gonna be tricky. It's definitely gonna be tricky making this look good. Take a blueprint of this. So that we have a reference point for the number of thrusters that we're going to need. Good enough. I can understand what it means. I don't really care if it's kind of a confusing or misspelled or incorrect name. All that matters is I'm getting a message across. Alright, well, I'm happy with this part, at least. It looks alright at night. I think it could use a little bit more hydrogen thrusters near the front, just for balancing purposes. Make it look a lot more balanced. The front had a little bit of hydrogen thrusters. And then we're going to be adding ion thrusters, which are also super heavy. So, but maybe I'll cut down on the amount of ion thrusters I actually put on it. We'll put just enough that it can function, but it's not weighing it down like crazy. So I'll go with 4 forwards, 4 backwards. And then we'll do 1 or 2 in every other direction. Maybe 1 to the left, 1 to the right. 2 up, 2 down. I think would be a decent number of ion thrusters. Of course, all large. If I can't find good places to put large ones, we'll put more small ones. But the large ones are more weight efficient. So if I can use them, I will use them. More weight and PCU efficient. So we'll try and sneak those in there. But yeah, it's coming together. honestly, a lot of the interior space is blocked out and kind of done now. The only bits I have left to do is this area in here, which is going to be all utility stuff. I'm going to put some engine rooms in the back, and that's kind of it. Some engine rooms in the back, the big utility room, and this room needs to get decorated more, and the little side chute rooms. I gotta do something with those. I'm definitely tilting. It's got to be my front gate that's causing it to do that. Eventually it'll fall out of the sky like all things do. Yeah, we're doing pretty good with that. A little bit sad I don't have a good place in the middle to put my cargo. I could probably rearrange and rework the whole bottom, but I don't really want to do it, so I'm not going to do it. We'll just have our gyroscopes be in here, and we will put some refineries. We'll put a couple refineries, or maybe just one refinery and a couple assemblers. And then we could even try to put some oxygen stuff, hydrogen and oxygen, H2O2. Oh, there it goes. Just suddenly decided it was going to fall out of the sky. See if I can paste it back in. Okay. For whatever reason, it's now not falling out of the sky. Cool. That's what I like to see. Is it stable enough for me to convert it to a station? It's a good thing to know. Yeah. Well, it's tilting, but it's tilting so slowly that I can still convert it to a station, which is good. Good to know. So I could actually work on it right here, and then convert it to a ship whenever I need to test it. And I think that's how we're going to work on it the rest of the time. Also, something worth noting is I am on Pertam, so my atmospheric thrusters are probably going to be plenty on other planets, especially on like the alien planet where I get even more oomph out of them, because it's got a thicker atmosphere. Alien, Earth, should be good. Should be good enough if I build that many of those thrusters. So I'm feeling a little bit better about that, I guess. Alright, well that's going to be it for this stream. Thanks everyone who tuned in for hanging out while I talk to myself and build. This is going to be a really long project, but I'm trying to get this done by the end of the month. By the next time I'm doing a stream of it, I'm going to have the rest of the rooms filled out, because we already know where they're going to be. I'm just going to finish doing the interior decorating of those, and then that will be huge chunks of the ship just completely done, which would be really nice. And hopefully I'll have some of the thruster pack figured out back here. This whole back area is going to be engineering and thrusters and power generation, so that's kind of the last major bit to figure out, and once that's done, it'll be great. I also need to figure out how the heck I'm going to get people into this hangar from, yeah, they can come in through here. This is one of the plans, but I need a access point for workers in the back here, so we're going to have to figure that out. There's still a decent list of things to do with this, so yeah. But cool. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.